Hi everyone, Jessica here from Australian Rotary Health. We're here today with Michael Parker as part of our Australian Rotary Health and QBD Books partnership to lift the lid on mental illness in schools. Michael Parker is the headmaster of Newington College in Sydney. He studied arts and law and worked very briefly in the corporate law firm before turning his attention to education. He has a master's degree in teaching philosophy to children, and before Newington, he was headmaster of Oxley College in the Southern Highlands of New South Wales. Michael's novel Doppelganger was shortlisted for the New South Wales Premier's Award. His children's picture book, You Are a Star, was also published in China, Brazil, Korea, and in the USA by Walker Books. He also has written textbooks in the areas of legal studies, philosophy in schools, and English with Fiona Morrison. Michael published Ethics 101, Conversations to Have with Your Kids in 2012, which was also published in the USA. His book, Talk with Your Kids, Big Ideas, was published in 2014. And his latest book, Talk with Your Kids About Things That Matter, published this year. In his spare time, Michael reads and tries to get some exercise, and he is married with 2 daughters. So, Michael, given the complexities and information overload for kids these days via technology, do you think there is much more topically on ethics at the moment for parents to navigate with their kids, and how should we best approach it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is. I think the last 10 years has thrown so much more at people. And the book that's come out this year is actually a second edition of the one 10 years ago. But we've added in dozens of new conversations because so much new stuff has come in. So I think fake news and all that has meant, all the conspiracy theory stuff that's come out from the fringe and now takes over so many people and so many people's mindsets. I think all of the things that happened with coronavirus and the big questions around that, and masks and vaccinations and locking down, and I mean the number of ethical questions there. So it's been an extraordinary 10 years. Not to mention the phone and the social media and all of those things that have just crashed like a tsunami, I think, in the last 8 or 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a very important topic in this current climate, especially with COVID. And I guess, you just touched on that ethics seem to matter now more than ever. And I guess it's a topic as well that's not always clear cut. Do you think these types of conversations really happen in enough homes? And what are the most important or best topics to start with to engage the kids? Yeah,
so I suspect they don't happen in enough homes. I think at the dinner table, indeed, if everyone is getting around together for dinner or in the car, it's probably what happened in the day or what everyone's going to do next. It's very hard to get what do we think about mask wearing, or should people be vaccinating, and which of course I think they should. I think that it can sometimes be a little bit sort of awkward or a little bit okay, let's have a conversation about this now, and it's a little bit awkward for 10 seconds, but once you get into it, I think people can start having their points of view and their different points of view, and you can really set it going then for the next 10, 15, 20 minutes. But I think it is important that people have those conversations, that they test their ideas out on people with different ideas, so that around the table or with your friends or whatever, you don't end up in an echo chamber where everyone's just agreeing with everybody else and everyone's just going further and further, but somebody pushes back with another idea, plays devil's advocate, comes up with not exactly the opposite, but an idea at a very different angle, and that's the way that you build up your own ethical sense, and you test it out. And I think those things can happen around dinner tables. I think in car journeys, not that people can go on very long car journeys at the moment. I think 5 kilometres is most people, but those sorts of times.
Yeah, absolutely. And your new book, Talk with Your Kids About Things That Matter, which I guess you said, was building on another book that you'd previously written. I guess this encourages us to dig deeper and put ourselves in others' shoes and be the best humans we can be. I guess, how do you sort of apply that when watching the news media at the moment and what we're sort of seeing behaviourally? I guess an example would be the riots.
Yeah. So I think, and it comes back to sort of old sort of Stoics, so back from thousands of years ago, that say we can't change everybody, we can't change the world, but the first thing, and the first thing you can work on is yourself. And if you change, yourself and maybe one or two other people, that's actually quite a bit. And when I say change yourself, like hold yourself to account, always be asking yourself those questions. So that's that practice that you learn as you go through life. And I think it makes you somebody that is more like, I'd like to think of it as like a milk bottle that's filling up. Like if you're the bottle, if you can fill yourself up with a litre and a half of ideas and thoughts and ideas that you've tested, but you're just less likely to sort of topple over. So I do think the answer to it is to against all the things you see in the news is focusing on yourself and your own ethical development.
Yeah, absolutely. And mental health is also a very important topic today as well. And I guess as a teacher and a parent, how would you approach talking to kids about their mental health?
No, that's a really good question. I think that it's important to be open, to be able to use the language of mental health, and to always be aware. At the same time, also be aware that feeling bad and having a bad day and a blue day and things like that is part of normal being a human. You have your ups and you have your downs. Otherwise, you'd always be up in this up level, and that's quite a different thing. And that it's good to be able to talk about that, and to know that's what you're feeling, and at the same time think, it's probably going to be better tomorrow. It's going to be better in 3 days or something like that. So being able to talk about both different things, both when there's big mental health waves, or when you're feeling like you can't cope, or there's clinical issues, but also the ups and downs of being human, and being able to sort of separate them.
Yeah, that's such an important point. Everyone goes through the ups and downs, as you said. And I suppose as well, from a principal's perspective, do you think that getting kids to read more books might be beneficial for their mental health, maybe perhaps in helping with some of their anxiety?
Yes, absolutely. This is one of my favourite things to talk about. Yes, I think that books, and I'll talk about fiction books particularly, though non-fiction is fantastic as well. I think it does two big things. It allows you to concentrate more, like in a world where, like TikTok is, 17 seconds, or to go into something that requires you to concentrate for quite a while is important. And I think to me, the books are like windows that you open up and you see that other world, and you see those other characters, and you understand what's inside other people's minds. Even if they're fictional characters, you can know them so well. And I think it's really important that people are able to do that. It sort of expands their own humanity. And I think that's a really important, lovely thing to do. And it's happening less and less. So I'm a big believer in fiction. At the same time, I recognise it's not for absolutely everybody. I do think reading long form non-fiction, so whatever you're interested in, is it whether it's cars or gardening or spacecraft or whatever, that you are reading something that sort of expands your mind rather than sort of limits it down. Big fan of reading.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can encourage more kids to start reading through this campaign that we've got.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I guess just one more question. If you could go back, what would be one piece of advice that you'd give to your younger self?
Oh, that's good. I would say to I'm stalling here as I think about what I would go back and say to him, I want to say a version of "It'll be all right." That you know, and I'm talking as a middle-aged man here. That what can often happen is, you know, using my milk bottle again, as you get more life experience and as you've done more things and as you've seen more and traveled more and whatever, if you're having a bad day, you know there's a better day around the corner. And you know, if you're having a better day, you know you're not always going to be at this level. I'd like to be able to say to my younger self, you know, when I was sort of, you know, going up and down and up and to back say, yeah, it'll you know, it'll be good, and you know, life, if you're able to say, to you know, your older self will have, you know, the experiences and so on, such that it'll be okay. Sorry, that was a long-winded version of saying it'll be okay.
Well, that's some great advice. And thank you so much, Michael, for your time today. It's been really great having a chat with you.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Really good, and really good work you're doing there. So thank you too.
Yeah. You can support the Lift the Lid in Schools campaign this October by heading into QBD Books in store or online and buying Michael's new book, Talk with Your Kids About Things That Matter, where $2 from every purchase will be donated to fund children's mental health research.